Hey and welcome to another edition of Custom Corner. For those of you who haven't seen this series before, basically where I show you guys some of the custom figures I've made over the years. Some I think are good, others not so much, but I'll let you lot be the judge of that. And I know a lot of people ask me how I make my customs, so this kind of acts as a guide. I'll explain how I made these figures. Most of them are pretty easy to make, so you can then have a formula if you want to have a go at making your own cheap customs. And for this custom corner in particular, we're looking at Big Papa Pump, the big bad booty daddy, former WCW World Champion Scott Steiner. Aside from being a living breathing meme at this point, honestly, I love anything involving Steiner for better or worse. A tremendous athlete in his early career as part of the Steiner brothers, then became the perfect example of changing with the times with his heel turn in 1998 and allegiance with the NWO. Became a massive star in spite of WCW going under, larger than life of his promos. There's a lot of lacking of that these days, I think, and Scott Steiner, if a guy with that kind of personality, I think they thrive in this sort of era. My perfect wrestler would probably be the in-ring skills of early 90s Steiner with his character work 10 years later. When I went to New Orleans for WrestleMania for the first time in my life, we were walking out of the hotel. I was like jet lagged, I was really tired, and I was staying in the same hotel as a lot of the WrestleCon guys. So I'm walking out of the hotel into the searing heat of New Orleans, and I thought I imagined it at first, but Scott Steiner was there, so I can actually say that I held the door open for Scott Steiner one time, which is a little bit of a weird kind of story, but there you go. Now for the headgear, I struggled with trying to think of a material to use, and in the end I just went with tinfoil. The head and the whole body is actually just a Ken Shamrock Elite. Ideally I would have used the Steiner Jack's head, but I didn't want to spend money just for a head scan. I might pick one up in the future if the price is alright on eBay maybe, but for now the Shamrock's head works perfectly fine, and the gritted teeth and crazy eyes actually work for Steiner, so that's a positive. I then painted the hair and the beard, adding a goatee and marker pen, also going over with the eyebrows. I actually painted over the eyes as well to make it look like less of Shamrock and more like Steiner. Then I went over the lines a bit, but maybe I do need to repaint some of the features. The trunks are just painted black, simple enough. However, the paint does scratch a little bit at the joints. Aside from that, it was nice for a change to just use black paint and not have to paint too much detail, as you know. It's not always my strong point is painting. The logos are sized in Photoshop, then printed off and stuck on. And as you can see as well, I swapped the hands over. Not quite sure whose hands they are, but these are used to just replace the gloves that Ken Shamrock uses. Also, I couldn't find knee pads large enough to fit over the knees, so I ended up just taping them up. Overall, perhaps not the best custom I've made, but I wanted to try and make a Steiner custom, and I just gave it a go. However, I think getting the Jack Steiner head would help this figure out a lot, so who knows, maybe I'll pick one up cheap on eBay and swap the head at some point. But for now, that's it for Big Papa Pump and Custom Corner today. Let me know if you enjoyed the video by hitting that like and subscribe buttons. The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice. Oh, sorry. I'll catch you guys later.